The question is, what are the fourth best way in order for you to make money in the stock market? There are four items you need to take a look at. And what are these items? These are going to make a big difference for you. They make a big difference for you because that's what matters the most. And you would be surprised what they are. So the first one I want to focus on has to do with the economy. What's going on in the economy? And this is great today because today we've got lots of economic news. So let us take a look at what's going on in the economy. As you could see, there is the this morning we had the personal income. That's going to be coming out pretty soon. We had the PCA prices. That's going to be coming out pretty soon as well. A PCE core. This is what's expected. And the claims. Claims also came out a little bit lower than expected, so but we're in line. And the continuing claims and the durable goods order, as you could see, we were expecting 0.4%, and we got about 0.2. So what does that mean? Well, if you look at these numbers, they're basically telling you that there's a little bit of a weakness in this market right now, having to do with this. Here are the numbers coming out. Trade, and you got the retail inventory are slightly up. GDP 2.8%, second estimate. So this is in line. We are growing, we're not dying. But at the end of the day, what you want to see is you want to be able to gather enough information. Let's refresh. Here we go. Look at those numbers, right? PC prices in line. Okay, we're not, and this is very good. This should bring the market up quite a bit. Look at those numbers. Excellent numbers. What do I mean by excellent? Well, the PC prices are not moving a lot. We're in line here. So that means that the Fed is now going to lower rates, and that's what you're looking for. It's going to lower. It's going to keep lowering the rates, actually, right? Because that's what you want to see. In fact, the core PC prices, as you could see, is even lower. So inflation is under control, and that's very, very important. So the first thing we need to take a look, obviously, is what's going on in the economy. And right now, the inflation numbers that just came out are are in line, and this is important. They are in line. They're not exploding, so we don't have inflation out of control. We have inflation under control. What does this mean? Well, that's going to mean that the stock market is going to like it. The stock market is going to like it. In fact, if I take a look at let me take a look at what's going on in the aftermarket. Tesla is up 1.1%. Um, it's responding very well from yesterday. It's at 342. It's climbing. Okay. How is QQQ doing? Let's see. QQQ is down slightly. SPY is up slightly. So we don't have a collapse in confidence here. We have basically a market that likes what it sees. It likes the fact that inflation is under control. So that's the number one thing that you need to look for. The number one thing that you need to look for is obviously, um, whether or not the economy is under control, and you understand what's happening, and that's the first thing that you need to get your hands around it. The second thing is, got four things, right? The second thing, you need to understand the charts. Yes, if you look at the S&P, right, you need to take a learn how to read the chart. What is a chart telling you? Well, basically, if I look at let's say over the past 2 weeks, okay, we had a bit of a collapse in the S&P. This is basically the SPY. This is the ETF that tracks the S&P 500, basically the market. As you could see here, we had a bit of a drop. Okay, we had a bit of a drop since November 15th. Now, obviously, I think we need to go a little further out. Let's take a look. Okay, this is this right here. Okay, this right here is the election business, right? So we were here. We didn't know what was going on. In fact, if we go further out, um, if you go further out, let's just take a look at this one because this is a good story. So what is going on right here? What's going on right here is the election, and there was a rush of optimism about the election, and it kept on going, and we could see the S&P slowly moving. But then here there was the story change. The story changed because, well, first of all, it went up a lot. And second, there was some concern whether or not this could continue, and what was the story with Trump, and there was again discussion about all these talks about the inflation again, because there was concern that all of his policy would lead to inflation again, and then we kind of saw a decrease again, but we never went back to those levels, and then we've kind of resumed the progression. The idea here is that the S&P is going to keep going up, quite frankly. Why? Well, because numbers are good. The S&P numbers that are going to come out, that came out around 5% for all the S&P 500 companies, were up 5%, around 5%, and expected to be 12% for the fourth quarter. So earnings are good, right? The second thing that you have going for you, you've got the Trump trade. Lots of information coming out, lots of policies, which we don't understand or know yet. We know them, but we don't understand them. And that obviously is going to lead to certain uncertainty, which is always good. You like uncertainty. Third, we don't have a problem with inflation, even though there's being more and more talk about tariffs and all that, but they might be tied towards political bent in terms of what they're saying. So we could see continued increase here, continued increase at that level. Now, I mean, this is not, of course, just on the S&P, but basically, you need to understand what you've been and what's happening. If I take a look, for example, if I take a look, let's take a look at our portfolio, right? And let's take a look. Let's take a look at the Tesla. Okay. So if you look at Tesla, this is what you have. Okay. Tesla doing great, since, look, what has happened with Tesla is we were starting in October. We got killed right here because of the concern about the robo taxi. Then we really lost it completely. And then obviously earnings show, hey, listen, this is a company that makes money. And then over here, right, we had a fantastic takeoff. Right? We had a fantastic takeoff because of the Trump trade. You see right here again. Everyone was saying, you know what, he's going to lose a lot because Trump is going to lose. Guess what? He won. Okay, so huge increase, and then it just took off, and then it just took off and took off and took off. Some ridiculous amount of money could have been made here. Since then, we never went back to those levels. Okay, we never went back to those levels, but we've kept on moving sideways, which is okay. I mean, this is very high valuation. Basically, we're moving sideways until we understand what is going to happen. So it's important for you to understand the charts, understand what they're telling you, understand what they mean, and the potential. So right now, there's a bit of a profit taking. They're looking for direction. I mean, the trade to be made was here, maybe here, and there. This is kind of maybe day trading or things like that. Now, I said four things. Now, the third thing that you need to worry about, um, and that's the financials. You need to get understanding of the financial for the company. Why? Well, because at the end of the day, if the company is not making any money, it's going to be very difficult for you to analyze the economy, analyze the charts, because quite frankly, at the end of the day, you don't want to have to justify or explain the financials. I mean, the company's got to make money. That's why sometimes it's best to work with QQQ or SPY, some large ETF, because quite frankly, there's no default risk. There's no issue with the financials. It's like a big bunch of companies. Now, of course, the gain the gain has to do with um, the way you invest, but the gain really is tied to the story, and that's my point number four. Right, you could have a company that makes money, but at the end of the day you need a story, and the story is very important. Why the story important? The story is important because it sets the tone. Now, the story cannot be the company is not doing well, it's got some financial issues, some risk. Then you're going sideways, you're going south. But if you're doing well, if the company is doing well and there's no issues, then what it comes down to is what it is that you think is going to happen to the stock. What do you think is going to happen to the company? How do you know what's going to happen to the company? Well, then it ties to a story. And that is probably the most important. Finance and security analysis has nothing to do with numbers, it has everything to do with the story. I mean, after all, look at what's happening with Tesla. Right now, Tesla is in a holding pattern, a great holding pattern. I mean, it went up, it hasn't come down. It's being sustained by the Trump trade, but basically the Trump trade is telling you that we're going to have the EV credits are going to be good for the company. There's going to be lots of things happening with the robots, lots of things that's happening with SpaceX. There's a lot of things happening with this company, and this is $1 trillion company, which probably going to be a $2 trillion company, right? So basically, when you're selling a stock, you're selling a story. What is the story about the economy? Well, the story about the economy right now is, we don't really have an inflation situation anymore because it's under control. So therefore, we're going to see rates going down. Do we have a recession? Not anymore. That was a story for a while, but now you can't talk about recession in those conditions because it's not really happening. Okay, so what is the story? What is yesterday a new story developed around the tariffs. They say, oh my God, he's gonna raise tariffs everywhere, and he said he's going to do it, and he probably will do it if he doesn't get what he wants. That's going to raise inflation again because prices are going to go up. And now, obviously, you have to realize who's talking to you, right? Because if these are pundits or they have a political bent, they're going to say, "Oh, it's all bad." If you go on the other right, it's going to say, "Oh, it's all good." So where it is, well, you have to understand what's happening with tariffs at the end of the day, and this is where you listen to channels like these, where I'm kind of explaining to you or teaching you. And don't forget to join and subscribe to the channel and like the video because it helps me. The point is, are tariffs bad? I mean, the idea of a tariff is what you want the company. You're competing unfairly against my U.S. companies, so I want you to take your company and your factory and build it here, and then you don't have a tariff. So you're coming here, you're hiring American employees, and everybody's happy in that way. And of course, if you don't want to do it and you're just sending your products at a cheap price, which I have to compete with more expensive prices, doesn't help me, right? So it there's good things about tariffs and there's bad things about tariffs. Now, what is going to be the end result? There's no way you're going to know what it is, or anyone's going to be able to tell you because it's a very complex process. And of course, in addition to that, most of the talk is slanted as a political bent. If you don't like Trump, you're going to say, "Oh my God, you're just going to create inflation all over again." Is this what's going to happen? I don't know. I mean, there's going to be lots and lots and lots of tariffs increase. Where is the increase going to come from? Who knows? Okay. What is going to be the impact? Who really knows? The point is, don't look for the actual story, right? Look for the real story, the story that everyone is talking about. So at least you have a feel for what is going to happen because it's driven by what is driven by the story. Is it a good story or bad story? So right now they were concerned about inflation, right? So inflation is not a problem anymore. So then you should see rates going up. I mean, rates going down. That shouldn't be a problem. So then stocks should still going up. At the end of the day, unless it's something unforeseen, the market should still going up. There was some issue within the global situation with wars but yesterday when they announced the deal with Israel and Hezbollah, it doesn't look like there's going to be something going on in the Middle East. We haven't heard from Iran. They're not going to say anything and not going to do anything for the time being. So that story is dying. They say, oh, there's going to be a Middle East war. So now they're focusing on, is he going to push a button and start World War III with Putin? I mean, at the end of the day, these people don't want that kind of thing. Right? These are just, it's like Trump with the tariffs. They want to negotiate. Nobody's going to pull the trigger because it would be disastrous for everyone, including them. So nobody wants that. But for you as an investor, it creates uncertainty, right? So you say, well, I don't want to be involved. I don't want to lose any money with the World War III. Exactly. So that's something to focus a little bit about. So let's take a look at some of the stories that are developing in the market. And then I think we should be great. So these are the four things that you need to worry about. The first one, economic news.